Wonder what's in here. Let's have a look. Welcome to the snooker room. We have two tables in here. Table number 1, which has an old cloth on, and table number 2, which has a brand new recloth just yesterday. I'm going to do some tests on both of these tables and see if we can find the main differences between an old cloth and a new cloth. Okay, let's go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is condition. If we have a look at the condition of the two tables, what we are comparing is old cloth, which has been on for a minimum of 1 year, against new cloth, which has been on for 1 day. Okay, so we'll have a look at this cloth. As you can see, there's quite a few chalk marks across it. If we have a look from distance, it's a bit patchy. It looks darker in some areas, lighter in some areas. This might be due to the change of temperatures, the environment that we're in. If you have a look on the spots, they tend to be a little bit worn in and chalk marks around them where you've just played so many balls off of the spot. There, look at the blue spot there. Look at the patch in the middle. So this is very worn in. Okay, and if you have a look at the cushions as well, the cushions almost look like the cloth has come away from the edge a little bit. This is the constant hitting against the cushions of the balls and cueing off cushions and like breaking from this area here. Okay, so this is condition and this is table number 1. If we compare this to table number 2 with the brand new cloth, here's the difference. So first of all, chalk marks. There are a few fingerprints on here, which is obviously from play yesterday. This got reclothed. I'm sure it would have been played on a little bit yesterday evening as they had Monday night snooker league going on. So this will have been played on a little bit, but if we have a look at the spots, no chalk marks, no issues around the spots at all. Looks perfect. It looks like if I'm cueing or putting a ball on that spot that it's not just going to sit in like a little divot. It's actually going to sit on there perfectly. If we have a look at the bulk area where they've broke from, again, no patches, no chalk marks, really smooth. You can kind of feel the little bit of nap on the top as well. And then obviously if we have a look at the cushions compared to those ones, I mean, look at the difference. This looks like a football pitch. That one looks like a playground. Okay, so these are the main differences when it comes to condition of the table. Let's move on. Okay guys, so in regards to pricing, we can't compare the old cloth and the new cloth because they're obviously both snooker tables. So I'm going to compare the prices of snooker compared to the pool. So first of all, this is Chinese 8-ball table. This is roughly similar price to snooker, to be honest. It's a similar sort of cloth. It's got nap on it. This one cost around about 250 to 300 pound to get this cloth put on the Chinese 8-ball table. Okay. Let's move on. Okay, this is green cloth number 2. This is an English 8-ball table. This is a little bit less in regards to pricing for cloth. This is around about 150 pound, 140, 150 pound for an individual table. Of course, if you are a club owner and you buy it in bulk, you will get it a little bit less, but individual price around about 150 pound for a reclothing of green on the English 8-ball. Okay, and of course the big table, the brand new cloth. If you're looking to get something like this reclothed, a 12x6 snooker table, you're looking to pay somewhere in the region of around about 250 quid, similar to the Chinese 8-ball table. And of course, it's a huge table, especially for a one-man job. So fitting is probably somewhere in the region of about 152. So you're looking to probably pay around about £400 to get a table like this reclothed. Okay, let's move on. Okay guys, so we're gonna do the cushion test. I'm gonna play the ball against the cushion softly, and then I'm gonna play it slightly harder, and I'll maybe do it on a different cushion as well, and then I'm gonna show you the comparison of how it sounds and how it reacts compared to the new cloth. So this is slow off of the cushion. Okay, so if you hear that, you'll hear it's a little bit bouncy. It makes a little bit of a thud sound. Let me hit it a little bit harder. Okay, so I've hit it a little bit harder. It hasn't sounded as thuddy, if you know what I mean. Let me play it softer again. Yeah, so hear that sound? It's like a little drum sound when it's hitting it. Let me try it really hard. Yeah, so in general, the cushions don't sound great. It's obviously quite worn. It seems that the softer you hit it, it tends to maybe do a little bit of a jump and make a horrible sound. Yeah, it tends to hop up a little bit when it's hitting the surface. Let's try it on the other cushion. Let's try it on. Okay, so we're gonna play the red against the cushion softly and do exactly the same test. Let's see how this one sounds. So much softer. See how it's much more cushioned. Listen to the sound, the cushion sound when it hits it. Soft and controlled. That's how it's supposed to be. That's how it's supposed to sound. Let me hit it a little bit harder. Yeah, and it actually makes more of a thuddy sound when you hit it hard against the cushion, because when you're smashing it against the cushions, it is supposed to make a little bit of a louder sound. It doesn't make sense to me that on the other table, the harder you play it, the softer it sounds, and the softer you play it, the harder it sounds. This one makes more sense. So I'm going to do pace test on the actual bed of the table now. So what I'm going to do is just a simple shot. I'm going to play this into there with bottom spin, and I'm going to come down the table and see how far I can go with the old cloth. This is number 1. Okay, so I've come off the bottom cushion. I am pretty much on the pink spot. Okay, so let's go again. Bottom spin, 6 o'clock on the cue ball. Let's see how far we can get. Okay, just before the pink spot this time, so it actually went a little bit further last time, but we're talking maybe a couple of inches. Okay, yeah, so rough average is around about the pink spot. So when I play this on the old cloth and I screw, I'll come off of the bottom cushion and land roughly near the pink spot. Let's move on to the new table and see what results we get there. Okay, so this is the brand new cloth. Of course, we're just going to do the same test, and hopefully this time with the slicker cloth. What you might find is when on brand new cloths, when you play with bottom, they can be a little bit slidey. So it might actually glide along the surface before it reacts. So it might not get the distance that you think it might get compared to the old one. But there is only one way to find out. See that? It slid a little bit on the surface before it reacted. So exactly what I thought might happen. I'll obviously try it again a couple of times because I could have cued that really badly. I might have punched that in as opposed to getting into it properly, but in general, you can kind of see when it hits it, it doesn't react and grip straight away. It kind of slides a little bit. So let's try it again. Yeah, it doesn't seem to react. It doesn't seem to grip properly. So at the moment, we're not even reaching the bottom cushion. So let me get one more example. This time I'm going to shorten my cue action and try and get into it a little bit better to try and get the reaction straight away, as opposed to lengthening my cue action. Let's see if we can get a good acceleration on this one. Yeah, much more acceleration with the shorter cue action, short and punchy. Okay, but I still haven't made it to the pink spot. Okay, so in general, over the three results from the new table, I didn't really get that far with it compared to the old one. So playing on the old cloth and screwing on there actually helped me to grip a little bit better. With the new cloth, I found that when I was screwing it, it was kind of gliding and it wasn't reacting or gripping to the cloth straight away. It would grip a little bit late. So again, similar comparison to the cushions. You think that's because it's a newer cloth and it's slicker, that you're probably going to get much more pace going down the table, but that isn't always the case when it comes to the physics behind the balls and how they react. On a new cloth with new balls, they're a little bit slidey and they glide a little bit before they actually reach the ball, as opposed to reacting straight away. So to counteract this, what you would normally do is not play it as hard. Okay, so most people would say if you're doing a long distance screw like this, that you wouldn't shorten your cue action, you would make it longer. But if I actually take some pace off of this, if I actually hit this considerably less harder, look at that. Okay, and I've hardly touched that. Let's give you another example of that. So the first couple of times, I was hitting it really hard to try and get the distance down there. But when it's a newer cloth, you don't necessarily need to do that. Take a little bit of pace off of it. There you go. Yeah, so take a little bit of pace off and you actually get a much further distance. I'll come past the pink spot this time. Okay guys, so overall, this is new cloth versus old cloth. What I found with my results was that the old cloth, of course, is in worse condition. It's been on there for a year. It's got loads of chalk marks over it and the cushions are very worn. With this being the case, when you hit balls against the cushions, they tend to jump a little bit and they're a little bit thuddy. They don't make a very nice sound. But the problem is with that is when you're playing a ball off of the cushion, the object ball is actually speeding up, which is not something that you want. Okay. Also, when you're playing a shot where you're trying to screw down the table, it's quite easy to get distance on the old table. It reacts relatively well, even though it's an old cloth. Okay, and if we compare this to the new cloth of the cushions, they're a lot softer when you hit it against it. It seems a lot more rubbery, and it actually slows the object ball down, which is what cushions are supposed to do. When you're playing around a couple of cushions on a pool table or a snooker table, you use the cushion sometimes to get the correct line and to slow the pace of the cue ball down. Okay, so this is what's supposed to happen. When I done the pace test, I found that even though it's a newer cloth, because the cushions are speeding up the object ball on the old table, it actually goes further on the old table, which is not a good thing, okay? And also, in regards to screwing on a brand new cloth, it tends to glide a little bit and it doesn't grip as well if you play it really hard. So if you're looking to get further distance on a new cloth, take a little bit off of it, and hopefully you'll get the reaction that you require, as opposed to an old cloth where that really doesn't come into play. Okay, so those are the tests. I'm going to do a separate video where I do maybe a couple of trick shots on either one and show how they react. In general guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and cheers, that's today's video.